Welcome to 99th Monkey Liberty News for Monday, February 17th, 2014. Happy President's Day today. I am not sure that our presidents who we honor today would have felt very honored by people like us under a government like ours honoring them. When you consider this is really the honoring of Washington's birthday, and it kind of got morphed so that it could be on a Monday so that people could have a 3-day weekend and go out and spend more money and boost the economy. But it's certainly a time to think about our founding fathers and about their legacy and how we have permitted ourselves to lose, in many respects, their legacy. My first offering today is a YouTube video of not an American, but a Hungarian member of parliament throws away EU flag in this video. And he's, being bold and being a patriot and making a stand and dishonoring the EU because he recognizes it for what it is. And here is an article about the EU that was posted on Facebook by Cynthia McKinney. Treaty of Maastricht on European Union. And it gives some of the history of the European Union. If you don't want to wade into that deeply, you can also learn about the EU from Fritz Springmeier, from Mercy Triumphs, The Real Truth About the EU by Fritz Springmeier. And I mentioned this last week when it was posted, but I just wanted to include it because the other information here about the EU. And from a website called America's Freedom Fighters, bombshell, Sandy Hook exposed, whistleblower threatened. And I have not said a whole lot about Sandy Hook. And I probably would not have included this article, except that it goes on with something I found very interesting from another Fritz Springmeier post that he made over the weekend. Predators in Power, a look at the British royal family, Jimmy Saville, and child abuse by Fritz Springmeier. And I'm bringing this into the discussion because Fritz wrote something here that I had not been aware of previously, that there was about 20 miles from Sandy Hook, there was a ring of pedophiles. Here's the paragraph. About 20 miles west of Sandy Hook, Connecticut, is the county of Westchester, New York. The Rothschilds owned an estate there which had a church building, but the main mansion had burned down. That property was the Eastern HQ for the Process Church, whose membership included David Berkowitz, Charlie Manson, Michael Vale Carr III, actor Bobby Beausoleil, millionaire Andrew Crispo, Doris Day's son, Beach Boys drummer Dennis Wilson, John Phillips of the Mamas and the Papas, and Jimmy Saville. So the whole Sandy Hook, the fact that they bulldozed the school, and I do think that it bears looking at, and certainly for all of us to know about in case it comes up in conversation. And even a part of what I try to include and incorporate in these videos is information about a varied spectrum of liberty and truth topics, conspiracy theories, if you must, so that when these things come up in casual conversation, we have a foundation from which to of knowledge from which to comment on them. And certainly, if people start to talk about Sandy Hook, I think it's important to know that there was a kind of a center of pedophilia 20 miles west of Sandy Hook. And certainly there's reason to question what was going on there. Here is a YouTube video from Kevin Annett. Pope Francis named by Eyewitness as child trafficker. and that may be disappointing to some, but it is what it is. And here is another YouTube video from Kevin Annett, Deposing the Pope and More. And this was published last week. Just some relevant information relevant to what is going on in the world. And Don and I had not looked into Kevin Annett, what he's doing at this time for a while, so we kind of dug around a little bit, and Don found some interesting links. This is itccs.org, the International Tribunal into Crimes of Church and State. And Kevin Annett is active in this, and he also is active in Covenanted Congregationalist Charter Community. They are trying to establish communities based on liberty principles. And some of this has kind of a similar tone to Republic for the United States and some of the other groups that have sprung up. And I currently am kind of the opinion that it's best for all of us to stay mainstream together and not get segmented off and partitioned off in these little groups that each have their own agenda. The agenda for all of us is to reestablish liberty and justice for all. But because this group has a bent toward establishing independent communities, I think there can be some value here in really putting together a grassroots basis from which liberty can spring and extend to the rest of the country. Not only liberty and justice. I am including Benjamin Fulford's blog from this morning. I won't get into the whole thing, but even the portion that is available free had something really interesting in it. The threat of weather as a weapon. And Fulford wrote that Kerry was to make veiled threats to unleash weather warfare. Quote, in a sense, climate change can now be considered another weapon of mass destruction, perhaps even the world's most fearsome weapon, end quote. So they are threatening weather warfare on people. And of course, you know, this is framed within the context of climate change. But the reality is that the weather is being controlled. The Air Force claimed that by 2025 they would own the weather, and it certainly appears as if they might already own the weather. From IntelliHub is this article, Extreme Weather Terror, the Next Al-Qaeda Plot. And this article discusses weather as a means to terrorize people, and here's the quote, by keeping them in check through fear. And this is being used. I mean, the weather weapons have been turned on the American people. Call me crazy if you must. Don and I in Pearls of Liberty over the weekend included a YouTube video done by someone who had analyzed the snow that fell and pretty much proved through chemical testing that it was chemically altered snow. It had DU and some other nasty ingredients. And we don't want to believe these things are true. But let's face it, there's just so much evidence, and tragically, they are true. So let's get a clue and begin to respond to what is really going on around us. From Mario Murillo Ministries, Why I Believe San Francisco is About to Shut Down Churches That Oppose Gay Marriage. And Mario has written here in this blog entry about the First Amendment rights and how they are being warped and twisted in such a way as to deprive us of the free exercise of our faith. Now, this isn't gay bashing. This is really just about free First Amendment rights. And being told that we must accommodate behavior that is contrary to our faith is a direct affront. And this is within the context of the practice of our faith. This isn't in the supermarket down the street. This is in the context of the practice of our faith. This is a clear affront to First Amendment rights. And Mario has a lot of good information and helpful thoughts on that subject. From Canada Free Press, exposing what lies beneath the bodies of dead bankers and what lies ahead for us. Read it if you dare. Read it and weep, perhaps. Here from Infowars.com, Pat Cadell. The GOP establishment wants the IRS to go after the Tea Party. For anybody out there who was, nice conservative who's thinking, oh, if only Sarah Palin gets elected in 2016. No, sorry. But the mainline Republicans have zero intention of helping us to have the restoration of liberty and justice for all that the Tea Party is pressing for. So, all you Tea Party people out there, if you're helping the Republican Party, having coffee clutches for them, raising money for them, whatever, cool, but know what you're dealing with. And unless Republican candidates are willing to give some kind of absolute guarantee that they will behave in a certain way, to be quite honest, I wouldn't trust them any farther than I can throw them. The GOP does not consist of caring nurturers. They are going to sick the IRS on you. So please become aware of that. And within the context of becoming aware and people understanding what's really going on, I'm bringing up this show, House of Cards, on Netflix. First of all, yes, I enjoy it very much. I am a fan. I am a Netflix fan in many respects. And this show is pretty remarkable. I'm bringing it up because in watching this, especially the second season, I've watched 4 or 5 of the second season episodes, and I am seeing so incredibly many clues. This is just releasing the information to people, of what's really going on in a way that maybe they can assimilate in their brains, and something will go off and they'll begin to realize that what is really going on in the government. Yes, this is a fictional account, and nobody tries to present it as anything but a fictional account. But so much of what happens here, the actual events, are very revealing, and I'll just touch on one. It's not just one event, but it's one aspect of the show. We know that the Illuminati function and the Cabal function based on the chessboard idea of black and white. Never get caught in the black, never get caught in the white. And what this means in practice for them is they do good deeds. And I read a Jerry Saville quote over the weekend. I think it was actually in the Fritz Springmeier blog on Mercy Triumphs that I mentioned. Jerry Saville was asked if he considers himself to be a moral man, and he said, "During the day, I'm a moral man. At nighttime, I'm a raging wolf." And right there is that idea of black and white, light and dark, daytime and nighttime, the dualism. of the people in the Illuminati practicing good deeds, and you know, when they might be caught when there's a lot of light, and in the night or in the dark practicing evil deeds. And this show, House of Cards, illustrates that very clearly. This man, you see him during the day, and others as well. During the day, they're maybe trying to get help for people, trying to do good deeds. Then, you know, he dresses up in a black hoodie and sunglasses and goes and pushes somebody in front of a moving train. I hope I'm, you know, that's a bit of a spoiler, but not a huge spoiler, because you begin to anticipate after the first episode of the first season who this man is and what he is capable of. Also, the wife virtually always wears something white with a touch of black in this season. Sometimes she's dressed all in black. There's always this white, black, light, dark theme. And as I said, that's only one aspect of this show that I believe is a kind of a subtle clue, maybe even a subliminal clue, that I think is likely to help people become aware of what's really going on in the government of the United States and the world, how these people function, how they get things done. And, you know, everybody likes to say, well, if that was the nice people who are, you know, who are innocent and naive, if that was really going on, we would find out about it because the press would, you know, they would be sent to jail. Well, this show explains how they avoid being in the press and being sent to jail and being exposed. So my hope is, and I think it's likely, that this show is going to help wake people up, and I believe that it's crafted to do so. And so that's a bit of good news, but here I'm ending with this. Nationofchange.org. Did the government give industrial hemp a pass to clean up radiation in the States? Well, certainly not intentionally, right? I mean, obviously not the people who are hovering on the black squares of the chessboard currently. But I'm including this as good news because, as this states, hemp has numerous uses and could replace many crops that require heavy irrigation and pesticides. But the most interesting fact about hemp is that it eats radiation. So I don't know how much better news we could have other than that the cabal has been completely overthrown, the global currency reset has occurred, and you know, you can go get your land and start your farm up. That would be the absolute best news. But this is pretty good news too. So with that, thank you for tuning in for 99th Monkey Liberty News on this President's Day for 2014. Weeping may endure through the night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.